Hey, hi, hello. My name is dis.cat, and welcome to Chaos. I'm sure that is not at all going to go with my jazzy background music, but I don't care because it is finally here. That's right! It's time for my fandom video. Well, actually it's time for the first in a series of fandom videos I'm going to be doing because, let's face it, there is no way in hell I can fit all of my fandom feels into one video. So this is the first one, and this video is going to be centering on Teen Wolf. That's right, Teen Wolf, which I'm pretty sure I would consider my favorite show at the moment. I'm not saying it's the best TV show in the world, I'm just saying that it happens to captivate a lot of my attention. So basically, the first thing I'm going to do is break down a few of the main characters. Talk about how I feel about them, just how I feel that they're doing in this current season, which is great because this season just started. Just let you guys know where I stand with them. Then I'm going to talk about ships. Ships I have, ships I like, ships I don't like, all that stuff. Then I'm gonna talk about a couple of hopes that I have for our characters for this season. Next, I'm going to discuss a couple of unpopular opinions that I have about the show. And finally, I'm going to recommend my favorite fanfiction for this show. This is basically how I'm going to do each of the videos. So there you go. Now you know how this is basically going to work for all the other TV shows that I fangirl about. So now that you know how it works, let's get started. And please forgive me if I reference my notes. I have a lot of feels about this show, and sometimes you just need a little something to help you organize it all. Alright, first things first, we have characters, and our first character is Scott. Oh, Scott, our lovely, lovely protagonist. A lot of people have, some negative feelings about Scott, and this really just baffles me. No, Scott is not my favorite character in the show, but still, Scott is just he is like the definition of just a decent, good, just inherently good human being. He's loyal, he's sweet, he's thoughtful, he's always trying to come up with a solution that is best for everyone, even if it costs him something. He's just so great. Plus, he's just adorable. The people of Tumblr have it right. He really is just a puppy in human form. And I know a semi-popular opinion of Scott here on Tumblr is that he's a little stupid. But see, I don't necessarily agree with this. What I think about Scott is that he just feels so much. He thinks with his heart more than anything, definitely more than his head, and sometimes that can make some of the things he says or some of the things he does seem stupid, but it's really not. Again, he is just an extremely good person trying to do the absolute best he can for everyone he cares about. So even though he's not my favorite character in the show, I am definitely a fan of Scott McCall. Next character I'm going to discuss is Derek Hale. Oh, Derek. Derek is just definitely one of the most tragic characters I've ever seen. I mean, seriously, he's just like a walking punching bag. He just cannot get a break. But as tragic and as horrible as Derek's life has been, he is just such an amazing little person. Yes, he can come off as kind of a dick, but then again, when you have a life like Derek Hale's, how can you possibly blame him for having trust issues and being a little grumpy cat? Oh, that's right, you can't. So yes, Derek does have his flaws, but just innately he is also, just like Scott, a really, really good person. And I think that's part of the reason why Derek kinda has this little fixation on Scott. Derek is a good person, and he wants to be a good person. He just kinda doesn't know how. So when Derek sees Scott running around just being an all-around just fabulous little person, I think Derek looks up to him and thinks, oh God, I wish I could do that. I wish I could just trust people and just first see the good in people before, you know, being all cynical and seeing all of the things that are wrong with them. I wish I could do that. And I think that eventually, if Derek keeps sticking around with Scott and the rest of the McCall pack, that he will gain the ability to do those things. I love Derek. He's just so complex and just so interesting, and I just love him. Next up, we have my favorite character of the series, and possibly one of my favorite characters ever, Mr. Styles Stilinski. Oh my God, Styles Stilinski just, Sorry, that boy just has that effect on me. Styles is literally everything I love in a character. He's sarcastic, he's witty, but he's intelligent, and he can kind of be a little bit of an asshole, but he is also just the most loyal person you will ever meet, and he just has so much love in him, and just, oh. Plus, it definitely helps that Dylan O'Brien is the most gorgeous example of the male species. The best thing about Styles is that he's just so relatable. I mean, as awesome as Scott is, it is kind of hard to believe that there are people in the world that are like that, that can just instantly see the good in people, that are always just for the plan that doesn't involve anyone getting hurt, even bad people. Just, it's very idealistic. And that's just not Styles. Styles is, yes, he's a good person, and he does have a lot of love in him, and he is a very loyal friend and all of that, but Styles is also very, very realistic. I think the best example of this would be that Scott would die for his friends, and Styles would kill for them. Not that either one of those things are bad, it's just one is a little bit more dark than the other, and it's also a little bit more realistic. Styles is also just a very deep and complex character. Styles has also not had the greatest life in the world, and I would really, really like to hear more about that in upcoming seasons. Styles Stilinski just owns a humongous part of my heart, and I just, there are no words. There are no words. And we have our last member of the main four. We have Miss Lydia Martin. In the beginning, I actually wasn't a huge fan of Lydia, but I think that's kind of common. But the great thing about Lydia is she is so much more than the bitchy little high school prom queen that we were fooled into thinking she was. She's incredibly intelligent, and she is just a painfully loyal friend, and those were none of the things that I thought she was gonna be when I first watching this show. And I am definitely loving the surprise. I am super, super excited to learn more about her. Yeah, I love me some Lydia Martin. Next up, we have one of our new leading ladies. We have Kira Yukimura. I'm actually really, really fond of Kira. I think she's just an adorable character, just, again, a lot like Scott, which is maybe why they work so well together. She's just innately good and just trying to make the best of her really, really weird situation. I can't say too much about her because we really don't know too much about her yet. But I am definitely looking forward to learning more about her and seeing her more. And the last character I want to discuss, mostly because she's kinda the most talked about thing in the Teen Wolf fandom right now, is Malia Tate. I might be going against the grain here, at least with what I've seen on Tumblr as of late, but I actually really like Malia. She's just a really fun character. I mean, she's really cool, she's kick-ass, and, you know, she's also really funny. It's funny seeing her try to, you know, integrate herself into normal society after spending so long being a were-coyote. It really just makes for some comedical moments. I'm also just really looking forward to learning more about her as a person, because again, we really don't know all that much about her, and, you know, I'm definitely interested in seeing her whole relationship dynamic with Peter. I know a lot of people don't like her because of the whole her and Styles thing, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but I like her as a character. I think she's cool, and I'm really excited to have more of her in the show. Alright, the next section we have, which is probably the one you're most interested in, is ships. We're gonna start this off with the most obvious one, which is Sterek. I love the Sterek ship. I've just always loved that kind of relationship between two characters where you have one who's just on one complete polar opposite side of the spectrum, and then the other one that's on the other side, where one's really brooding and gloomy and the other one's really hyperactive and fun. And I love when they start off just always arguing and being snarky with each other, and then that just grows into a really, you know, deep-seated affection. It's just, I love that kind of relationship. And I definitely think that these two characters, if they were to get together, could bring out some really beautiful things in each other. Styles is the kind of character who, yes, when he loves someone, he loves them completely. Just complete giving of his entire heart and soul to that person. But he also knows that you have to pick those people very carefully. And I really think that this compliments Derek a lot, because again, Derek has trust issues. He's been betrayed so many times by people that he cares about. So I think that having Styles in his life, someone who is completely willing to give all of himself to someone that he loves, but still understanding that that person has to earn it, that it takes time to build that kind of trust with the person, I think that that would be really good for Derek. And yes, I do agree with the majority of the fandom. I do think that there are a lot of, you know, pieces of foundation for this relationship already set in stone. It's just simple fact. Styles is really one of the very few only people that Derek knows he can trust, and that is a really big part of a foundation of a relationship. But I also am not really in the belief of thinking that Jeff Davis is actually going to make this ship happen. I mean, I would adore if he did, and I really do think that it would be just a huge step in a great direction if he did. I just don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm still hoping. The next ship is Skiles. For this ship, I just don't see any romance in it at all. This ship for me is definitely just the most bro TPs of bro TPs. These two are just the best of friends. They're the kind of friends where you look at their friendship and you're like, God, I wish I had a friendship like that. Even if you already do have really good friends, you cannot reach Scott and Styles level. It's just really beautiful. There's just so much undying and just unadulterated love there, and it's just a bond that definitely just does not give a damn about whether blood is involved or not. And I don't know, I really don't like it when people try and make it a romantic thing. I kind of just think that it's beautiful the way that it is. Not everything has to be romantic. Why can't two guys just have an undying gorgeous, drop-dead, beautiful, platonic relationship. The next ship is a highly controversial one, and it is Stydia. Oh, the Stydia ship. Probably the biggest competitor that Steric has. And I have to admit, I wasn't really a fan of this. But you'll note, I said wasn't. Slowly but surely, I'm becoming more and more of a fan of this ship. The problems I had with this ship were not that, you know, Lydia was standing in the way of Styles and Derek's relationship. They were, you know, actually legit reasons. The biggest one was that she didn't have feelings for him. I mean, in the beginning, they weren't even friends. He was just a little nuisance that would follow her around. She was in love with Jackson. There was no room in her heart for Styles, and I couldn't, you know, reason with that. I couldn't put him with someone who didn't appreciate him, didn't have any romantic feelings for him at all. It just didn't make any sense to me. Another problem I have with this ship is that Styles' feelings for Lydia, at least in the beginning, were very, very much more of the idealization feel. It wasn't really love. He was just kind of idolizing her. He, I believed, liked the idea of her more than he actually liked her. And also, that's just no grounds for a good ship. But as of late, this dynamic has certainly changed. We're seeing Lydia have more and more intense feelings for Styles. I mean, now they're definitely friends, which is way, way more than they were in the first season and maybe even the second. But also you can make the argument that there are some more deep-rooted, even more intense feelings for him that are coming out in her. And Styles definitely knows Lydia just so much better now. I mean, he always was aware of her flaws in the past, but it seemed more like a joking matter than actual seriousness. And now he knows what her flaws are, he understands them, and he still cares for her. Maybe doesn't love her, at least the way that he did before, but he still does really, really care for her. So yes, even though I am a die-hard Steric shipper, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing this ship take off. The next ship we have is a brand new one, and it is Skira. People, I think, are definitely having issues with this ship taking off because of the whole Allison incident. And I'll admit, you know, her death did definitely stir up some feelings in Scott. I'm sure it really, really did kind of just throw him for a loop, made him question all kinds of things. But the ship was kind of already in the works before she died. They weren't dating anymore. Allison was starting a new relationship with Isaac. So I really don't see why everyone is having such a hissy fit about Scott moving on too. I mean, up until the last minute, I was pretty convinced that Allison had moved on, that she was really, really interested in starting her new relationship with Isaac. I mean, of course, you always have feelings for your first love, but I didn't think that it was still as strong in her as it was when she died. But even still, Scott can't let this control his life forever. Maybe it is moving a little too soon after Allison's death, but if there's one thing I know about teenagers is when they are faced with some traumatic experience, something that seriously just kind of flips their whole world upside down, the first thing they try and do is find a really good distraction. And just let me tell you, a girlfriend? Oh, that's a really good distraction. So yes, maybe the timing of this ship is a little not so great, but overall, I do like the idea of them together. They're really cute, and their dynamic when they're together is just adorable, and I really do see their relationship becoming really, 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 really strong. And the last ship that I'm going to discuss is probably the most controversial, at least at this moment, and it is Stalia. Alright, let me just say this first. I do not like this ship. But let me explain why. Again, my issue with the ship has nothing to do with the whole, oh, here comes a female trying to, interfere with Derek and Styles' relationship that is just so clearly there. No, nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with a little saying that I heard here on Tumblr that just, oh my god, how on point can you be? And that saying is, these kids don't need significant others. They need therapy. Malia does not need a boyfriend. Malia needs a freaking humanity tutor. Which I have no problem with Styles taking that, position in her life, but why the hell does sex have to be a part of it? This girl doesn't even know how to be a friend. She was gonna let Lydia be mauled by the Mexican hunter family. How the hell is she supposed to manage a relationship? She's just now learning how to be human. Why does she have to put added stress on it by learning how to be a good girlfriend? She has enough problems. Peter Hale is her dad. That is like a catastrophic event in itself. And Styles is in no position to be in a relationship at this point either. Styles just spent a season having his body mind controlled by an evil fox demon from hell that made him murder people and attempt to murder his friends and his dad. He does not need a girlfriend. It's just, it's just like solidifying. Jesus, you hear that? That is like the perfect example of Florida. It's like we're giving teenagers just a point to solidify their belief that the easiest way to deal with all of your life's problems is to go out and get yourself a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And just a little hint of advice for my teenaged followers, it's not. If you already have a crap ton of issues going on in your own life that you need to figure out, the last thing you need is to be trying to help someone else figure out theirs. So that is the reason why I am not a fan of this ship. It's not because I don't like Malia, because I do. I just think that it would be far more beneficial for her and Styles if they would spend their time talking to a freaking therapist than making out. Alright, so those are my feelings on the popular ships that are going on in the Teen Wolf fandom right now. Now I'm going to talk to you guys about some hopes that I have for these upcoming seasons. I say seasons because, I'm very hopeful that there will be more. Even though I don't agree with Styles being in a relationship right now, I really do hope that he does get a stable relationship at some point. And as I mentioned, my two, favorite candidates for this position are Derek or Lydia. My next hope is that, Peter just figures out what effing side he wants to be on. I'm getting really tired of this teeter-tottering thing that he has going on. Just pick a side, ally or douchebag. It's really not that hard. Another thing I really hope that we get in upcoming seasons is more of Styles' backstory. I want to hear more about Mama Stilinski. I want to see her. I want to see flashbacks to Styles' childhood and stuff. He's my favorite character, and I really just would love to hear more about him and his life. My next thing is also backstory. I want Lydia backstory. We know virtually nothing about Lydia's past, and that's just really infuriating. I mean, she's been in the show all 4 seasons. We really should know more about her by now. And the last thing, which I'm sure everyone in the fandom can agree with me on, is more Danny! Yes, especially now that we know that he knows all about werewolves and stuff, I would really like to see Danny more integrated into the show. Next, I'm gonna talk about 2 unpopular opinions that I have, which, oh my, I am just so afraid about this. My first one is the importance of Erica and Boyd in the show. And I guess you could throw Isaac in here too. I know people are gonna hate me for this, but I just don't think that Erica and Boyd and Isaac were all that important in the show. I think that these characters were introduced to be plot movers for Derek. They were placed so that we could give Derek more depth and that so we could move the plot of the show along. And no, I wasn't really all that distraught when they were done away with because I didn't think that they were really all that important in the beginning. I know that the fandom has just latched on to these characters and just made them so important. I mean, that is just painfully evident in like all of the fan works, but I don't think they were that important. I think that they were plot devices. I think that they were just little pawns that were put in the show so that we could have more depth and more action and we could give Derek a more interesting storyline. But that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's true. Please don't hate me, please. And the next one I'm probably going to get a lot of flack about too, especially because it was such a recent event. But I want to talk about Allison's death. Mostly, I want to talk about how I believe that Allison dying was the right way to go. It's not because I didn't like Allison. I did. Allison was a really awesome character and I was really sad to see her go, but I just think that killing her off was what made the most sense for her character. Allison, like so many of the other characters, was a fiercely loyal friend, and it just would not have made any sense for her to have just picked up and just left and gone to France like so many people in the fandom wish that they had, gone with. They wish that they had gone with that whole storyline, but it just wouldn't have made any sense. Allison was not the kind of person who would just be like, oh, shit's getting too real for me here, so, see ya, you guys figure it out, I'm gonna go have fun eating some baguettes. Allison was the kind of person, the kind of character who would die for her friends, and that's what she did, and I think that it was really just, true to who she was. Again, please don't hate me, this is just my opinion, and feel free to disagree with me, just please don't hate me, please. And lastly, I'm going to recommend my all-time favorite fanfiction that has to do with this show. This may not be surprising, but it is a Steric fanfiction. The name of this fanfiction is Needs More Sparkly Pens by, Coconuts? I think that's how you say it. It's like MM_coconuts, so I think that's how you pronounce it. If it's not, I'm sorry. But either way, I will leave the link down in the description. I'm not going to tell you anything about this fanfiction because just the surprise and the shock of it and just the originality of the idea is it's just what makes it the best fanfiction I've read for this show. I love it. I love it. I've taken parts of it and just plastered it everywhere because I love it. I know you guys don't understand that right now, but after you see it, you definitely will. So there it is. Finally, we have the fandom video. At least the first one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys definitely talk to me about this stuff. Talk to me about the characters that you like. Talk to me about the ships that you like. Argue with me about my unpopular opinions. Just anything. I love talking about this stuff. It's so much fun. The next fandom video I'm going to do is going to be centered around Supernatural, so get excited for that. But not too excited because I'm not sure when that's gonna come out. Hopefully soon. Hopefully. I'm hoping. Remember, you guys are oh so lovely and I love you. Okay, thanks. Bye!